welcome to the Black Corner, where whitewashing ends and Black history begins. I know I haven't been here in such a long time, but we are going to get some videos up about some Black history because it is so important. They're taking books out of schools, Black books, books about um, important events in history, books about the civil rights, books about racism, all the things that we really need to know about. So I am making an effort to highlight some of the important things that have happened in history. So we are going to highlight three men on tonight because we're talking about voting right now. There's a big push by the Republican Party. Unless you've been living under the rock, I know you should already know this. The Republican Party currently have a full-on assault against voting rights for Black and brown people. They are assaulting it. They are trying to suppress the Black and brown vote, and they have been doing this for a long time. But now they've ratcheted it up. Like now it's important because midterms are coming. 2024 is going to come. They want to take the power back, so they know that the Black and brown vote, in particular, the Black vote, won it for Biden. They know this. So with that being said, they are going to try to reel that back in by any means necessary. And any means necessary means they're going to cheat. So they are taking away ballot boxes. They are making it hard to do mail-in ballots. They are making it hard to even register to vote, like the different IDs. Like you can't use your school ID, but you can use your gun ID if you have a gun. They are taking away polling stations. They are cutting hours. They are taking access away. However, what they're standing their ground on is that, hey, but there's a law here. We don't need to pass the Freedom to Vote Act or the John Lewis Act. They can already vote. Black folks can already vote. We're not stopping them. Yeah, you are. But it's been throughout history that they have been doing the same thing. They're not murdering people like they did throughout history, as I'm going to talk about. But it's the same end result. Stopping the Black folks from voting because we're so strong. We are so powerful. There's so many of us. And when we come out, we really come out. So they want to suppress us. They want to depress us. They want us all fighting against Biden and unhappy with him. We have to keep believing. We have to stay the course. We have to vote. And this is why, because people died. We have to honor the sacrifice. People literally died. Let's talk about Maceo Snipes. And it's interesting because black men won their right to vote in 1870. Again, it's on paper. It really doesn't mean anything because they couldn't vote. Because if they did try to vote, they'd get killed. So let's talk about Maceo Snipes. On July 18th, 1946, Maceo Snipes, a veteran, World War II veteran, was fatally shot in the back just hours after casting his vote. Just hours after casting his vote. He was actually the first black man to cast his vote in this Georgia county. So this happened in Georgia, and he voted for the Democrat in the Democratic primary in Taylor County, Georgia, and he was shot in his back. So after he cast his ballot, he went home, and this is when the KKK was really a brewing. They were really pissed off. The KKK went to his house, called him outside, started some type of argument with him. He was walking away, and they shot him in the back. He was still alive. So he and a family member walked miles. While he was shot in the back, he walked miles to the nearest hospital. So by the time he got to the nearest hospital, he needed a blood transfusion. Guess what the hospital told him? We ain't got no black blood, so we can't do a transfusion. What is black blood? They didn't have any black blood. So, needless to say, he passed away days later because they did not treat him. It's a horrific story, but this is what they did. This is not, this is one out of thousands of stories. Let's move on because there's more. Let's talk about George Wesley Lee, Reverend Lee. So Reverend Lee was born December 1903 and he died May 1955. He was a civil rights leader, minister, and he was an entrepreneur. He was vice president of the United Negro Leadership and head of the Mississippi branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. He was actually assassinated in 1955. Why was he assassinated, you ask? Well, he was assassinated in retaliation for what? Voting. For voting. He went around registering African Americans to vote. So since 1890, they have been effectively disenfranchised. So remember, I told you that in 1870, Black men won the right to vote, but they were disenfranchised. They weren't allowed. It's just like, of course you can vote. Go ahead and vote. But we're not going to really allow you to vote. Don't be silly. That's kind of how it is right now, right? Republicans are saying, why do we need to change anything? We don't need to end the filibuster. Why do we need to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act? You can already vote. But meanwhile, they're just taking all the levers of democracy away from us. In all the types of ways that we could vote, they're taking it away. Oh, senior citizens, they voted on Sundays after church, souls to the polls. We're just going to take that away. So that's what I mean. It's like you have the right, but they take the access away. They disenfranchise you. The same thing they did in the 50s. The same thing. So since 1890, they have been effectively disenfranchising, especially in the South, the Mississippi, due to the state constitutions. So Reverend Lee was like, no, I am going to actively teach people about politics and about voting and get them registered. KKK did not like that. So what happened? He was assassinated. Anybody and everybody was assassinated who tried to register to vote. Let's move on. We have another. Next. And again, this is just 3 in thousands and thousands that were murdered just trying to vote. And if you weren't murdered, you were beat with cattle prods. Yes, Thing Allen, born April 25th, 1919, died January 31st, 1964. He was a Black businessman in Liberty, Mississippi. He was shot and killed on his land because he had previously tried to register to vote, because he got excited because Reverend Lee was registering people to vote and educating them. So he too wanted to register to vote. Again, that's a no-no. You registering to vote, you organizing people and registering them to vote, all was not allowed. So there is no moral to this story. Um, I just wanted to talk about these three men in particular, but there's so many other men who put their lives on the line because they knew voting was a risk. But not voting was the bigger risk because nothing changes if you don't vote. You have to honor these sacrifices, whether you're black, brown, white, your allies. If they're taking our rights, they're going to take the rights of the good people too. You're seeing what they're doing to women. They don't care. They don't care. So if we don't have justice, how are you having justice? You can't. There's injustice everywhere. You've heard the saying. So please, please, stay the course. Let's stick together. Let's do what we have to do out here. Bye-bye.